Hello guys and welcome back to another deck preview by Double Sleeve. Today we're going to be going over Romance Dawn's Zoro leader. He is a mono red leader. He will give you 5 life and he will be releasing with OP01. Uh, let's just jump into the deck list now. We'll see what we've got here. And guys, obviously to give you a heads up, we've only got one set to work with. We've only got the starter decks as well. I'm making sure to not include any promos because I don't know how hard they are going to be to actually get. And I want to make sure that people have an idea of what the deck will look like once they purchase their boosters, their boxes, and their starter decks itself. So this will be pretty much ready to go out of the box, and you should be able to take this to your locals and hopefully start doing well. So let's get into it. Zoro himself, he has a leader effect, of course. Putting one Don underneath him will be able to give all your characters 1000 power during your turn. Quite strong. We'll go over the card choices as well, so that way we can see why it makes him quite decent. We've got Otama at 4. On play, you'll be able to give one of your opponent's characters 2000 power during this turn. It's not a bad card. It does have 0 power, so it really won't be able to do anything on that itself, but we'll be able to help you kind of get rid of those pesky blockers or any other cards that may have lingering effects or the KOs from your other cards, depending on their power and the size of them. We've got Nami at 4. On play, she'll look at the top 5 cards from your deck. You'll be able to reveal a Straw Hat crew other than Nami and add it to your hand. You'll put the rest of the cards at the bottom. Something else to obviously point out for Otama as well, she does have a 2000 counter. So quite a good card if your opponent doesn't really play any battle cards, or if you want to keep her in your hand for the 2000 combo power as well. We're going to put Chopper at 4, a standard pay 1000k blocker. He will be 2000 if you've got the Don underneath your leader. Not bad if I do say so myself. The other one cost that we have here is Nami. We have put her at 4 as well. She's a 1000 power. Activate main once per turn. Give your leader or one of your characters 1 rested Don cards. So for those that know about red or want to know about what red does, the decks usually revolve around being able to use your rested Dons and attaching them to other cards to give them 1000 power during your turn. Quite a good effect. You'll start to see it in a lot of other red cards as well that come through. You'll probably be able to see it more in the Luffy deck that we go over down the track as well. The 1 cost extra card, or the event card they call it in this game, it is in 2 years at the Sabati Archipelago. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but someone will probably correct me and probably laugh at me for saying that way. I really need to start watching One Piece anime. I just really love the card game. Activate main, you will look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. You will reveal a Straw Hat character and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So exactly the same as Nami, but this is obviously an event card. And it can also be triggered if you hit it from your life. As you can see, it's got the trigger there. Activate this card's main effect as well. We do run it at 2. It's okay. It's not the greatest card in the deck, but, you know, we're filling up 50 card slots here, and we're very limited on what cards we can add. Sanji is going to be our first 2 cost 3000 power that we've got. He is also a 2000 counter on that side. And the activate main, once per turn, you may add 1 card from your life area to your hand. This character gains 2000 power during this turn. Then give this character up to 2 rested Don cards. So you can pay 2 for him. Activate his main if you want to crit a life. Well, it's not really critting it, but it's adding it to your hand. He will get 2000 power to bring him to 5000. Then he'll get the 2 rested Dons that you paid for him to go to 7000. And if your leader has a Don underneath him already, he will go to 8000 for the turn. Obviously, he can't swing on the turn that he's played, so you'll probably be doing this on the turn after. So you'll probably be using, I guess, the way to obviously sync it is using 2 Don first to play something else, and then being able to use those 2 Dons to put underneath him. So sorry, not the 2 Dons that you use to play him, because that'll be from a previous turn. He also has the 2000 power counter as well. Very strong cards to have in your deck. They obviously allow you to eliminate using 2 separate cards to counter with instead of 1 if they are already 1000 power ahead of you. So For those that don't know the way that the counter works, you need to be above the attacker to be able to negate its attack. Equal power will go towards the attacking sided player. So definitely great to have 2000 counter in your hand. We've put 3 Luffy's in deck. They are 2 cost, 3000 power. For 2 Don underneath, this character can't be KO'd when battling strike attribute characters. And then the activate main once per turn. Give this character up to 2 of your rested Don. So again, we're looking at that rested Don kind of phase. Again, you probably don't really need to do it on the turn he's played. But again, really, really good to be able to play cards and then be able to use those rested Dons again to give these guys extra power. And for 2, it's quite strong. So we've got him at 3 in the deck itself. Sanji from the starter deck. He's pretty strong as well. I've put him at 3. He is a 2 cost 4000 power. With 2 Don underneath him, he does gain Rush. So he'll be able to swing on the turn that he's played. You can't use the Don that obviously you tap to play him unless there are other effects that are able to put it underneath, which there are. But he'll be able to swing on the turn that he's played for 6000 when you give him 2 Don as well. So quite strong if you've got nothing else that you need to play. And 6000 power swing is nothing to be nothing to laugh at. We're going to go over to the last couple of 2 costs that we have in the game or in the deck. We've got Usopp. He's a 2 cost 3000 power. We've added 2 of him in. He is also a 2000 power counter, so a lot of 2000 power counters in this deck. For 1 Don on your turn, once per turn, after your opponent activates an event, draw 1 card. So that could be on their play, and I believe it affects triggers as well because they're activating the event itself if you do hit them for life. Kind of situational. That's why I've only got him at 2. Wouldn't be shocked if I start taking him out and adding in better red cards maybe when the promos release. But the last 2 cost card that we've got in the deck, it is another event card. It is Gum Gum Red Hawk. The counter itself, your leader or up to one of your characters gain 4000 power during this battle. Then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4000 power or less. Pretty strong. The trigger itself is not too bad. It gives up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters 10,000 power during this turn. Negging power doesn't KO anything. It just kind of leaves them negged on the board. It will be easier for you to KO them with other effects, but to give your opponent's leader minus 10,000 power and leave them sitting there vulnerable to every swing that you've got. As you can see, we've played multiple small bodies. The leader will also be able to give these guys an extra 1,000. I mean, even Otama will be doing damage if you hit the Gum Gum Red Hawk on the trigger. Going into our 3 costs now, we do have 3 Caribou on KO. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4000 power or less. Quite a strong card. Just going to sit there. It will swing for 5k if you've got the Don underneath your Zoro. It is a 3 cost 4000 power, so it can actually swing for 5k. Majority of the time, you're probably always going to have 1 Don underneath Zoro itself. Giving all your cards 1k is pretty strong. And it's only for 1 Don as well. Obviously, Don resource management is pretty important. But for 1, you almost can't ever go wrong. Considering that you're going to try and flood the board with a lot of small weenies. We've also got 4 of the SR from Romance Dawn. It's a 3 cost 5k Zoro. He has Rush, so on play he can swing for 5,000. Again, gets a buff from the leader. We've got 4 Nico Robins as well to round off our 3 costs in this deck. She is a 4000 power. You put 1 Don underneath her. When attacking, she can KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3000 power or less. Again, this is where the KOing comes into effect. So if you neg your opponent's cards for 2000 power, for example, with Otama, and then you play Nico Robin straight after, if you've brought them down to 3000 or less, you'll be able to KO it with Nico Robin when she attacks. So, not a bad style of play. You've obviously got to time it well. But they're both on play itself, so yeah, it's not the easiest thing to pull off. There is other cards that kind of obviously activate Rush and things like that. But yeah, you'll be able to obviously play the Nico Robin first. Then on your next turn, you might play Otama to bring a card down to 3,000, and then be able to swing with Nico Robin to make sure she KOs something with 3,000 or less. Only one 4 cost card in our deck. It is Jet Pistol. It's at a 4. 4 of. It is very, very strong. I think it's going to be in a lot of red decks going forward, even if it's not just Romance Dawn. The activate main for 4 KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 6,000 or less. Again, you might be pairing it with the Otama. And the trigger itself, if you get it from life, you activate this card's main effect as well. So it's a great defensive tool. It's a great offensive tool. That's why it's at 4. And then our only 5 costs. So we're kind of going with the weenies. We want to really power these guys up and swing. Kind of like a rush style zoom mechanic where you just want to kind of put those weenies on the board and start swinging as much as you can. We are playing Luffy. He is from the starter deck as well. He is an SR. The 5 cost for 6,000 power. We're running this at 3. He does have rush on play, so he'll be able to swing. And then if you put 2 Don underneath him, when attacking, your opponent can't activate blockers for the battle. So quite a strong card. It makes sure that if you've got lethal, they can't activate a blocker. They need to use counter cards from their hand. For those that have played this game, I speak about it in a previous video, and I'll probably speak about it in a lot of other videos going forward. Card advantage in hand is so crucial that even if this card is not doing the lethal blow, getting 2 or 3 cards out of your opponent's hands just to save game is still super, super important and putting you in a much better position than you normally would be in. So, yeah, that's the deck list, guys. Obviously, we're always running 50 cards in the deck list. You've got 1 leader, you've got 10 Don. I'd imagine that there wouldn't be too much chopping and changing between other deck lists that you probably see. But this is what I'm planning to kind of build when I do get the set in December. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you do want more One Piece content, we will be looking at making deck previews for every single deck on the board. Depending on when you watch this video, we will have other ones out there already. But if you do enjoy the content and you are brand new here or you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. The subscribe button is down below. And give us a thumbs up on the video as well to let us know that you like this kind of content and you want us to continue making it. So apart from that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and hopefully see you in some of the next videos.